good afternoon. My name is Gwen Harrison, and I'm the project director for ILEAD USA, Innovative Librarians Explore, Apply, and Discover, and we hail from the great state of Illinois. And I'm going to ask our instructor corps a few questions and ask them to just have a conversation. So here we go. Instructors, why did you decide to join this ILEAD USA program? And anybody can answer. Don't say it's because I called you up in cohort.
Well, that was my answer.
Okay.
Well, I came in as a mentor last year, and I originally came in because, well, I love technology and I love teaching about technology. So I just thought it would be a natural, well, get outside my own library walls and impart my knowledge to others.
Joe, I'd like to add that when we received, and I know I'm going off script, but when we received his application, I thought it was for an instructor corps and you were applying as a mentor. So, and I called you and asked,
Yes,
are
ma'am.
you sure? So, anybody else like to join in on this question? Why did you decide to do it?
Are we supposed to say who we are also?
Sure.
Hi, I'm Brian Smith. I am what am I? I'm the applications and web developer at Reaching Across Illinois Library System. So I'm a librarian who builds websites. I also came in as a mentor last year, and the thing that that really appealed to me about the program is previously working at the regional library system, I had done more training work and consulting with folks who work at our member libraries, and I've sort of been away from that, and this being a mentor gave me the opportunity to be more directly involved with things that our member libraries are doing. And also, similar to what Tony was saying, that I'm heavily involved in technology. People do occasionally call me and kind of bounce ideas off me. And several of the previous ILEAD U teams had asked me for advice on certain things. So I was familiar with the program for that. And then this year, I thought, well, I've been a mentor in the program, and seeing how it went last year, I think there are some very good areas where I would be able to fit in as an instructor and directly teach in the program.
Yeah, I have to say, so I came in, my name is David Lankus from Syracuse University, and I'm the head of the instructor corps. And I came into it because I just met the folks at the State Library, and they had a great idea and were nice enough to invite me in. And I have to say, in having conversations with some of the previous instructors about why they came in, what they were part of. Initially, I think, way back when we started this, it was simply, we knew folks and let's see if we can get them in, and they were sort of used to being in the teaching role. But once they came in and became part of the experience, and they started forming, I mean, we talk about cohorts with teams and such, but there's an instructor cohort that goes on as well. And meeting interesting people, getting new ideas, laughing way too much. And so it became investment in, yes, we like teaching, yes, we feel it's important for librarians to know this, but it also became an experience that I think instructors, and I can speak for myself, get a lot out of. When we see teams struggle and move forward, when we see, oh, this didn't work, oh, let's try it this way, and working in this almost improvisational way across the instructor cohort, it really does give, once again speaking for myself, a network of really smart, dedicated people that are out to help libraries, and to be part of that is just very fulfilling and very energizing. We're used to, when it's just you in front of a workshop, or you giving a speech, or you teaching a class alone, that's one thing. But I look forward to coming to here every time, just so, because I learn so much and laugh so much and see people make such progress, that it's a rewarding group to be a part of.
Yeah, I was actually, my name's Beth Tench, and Dave, you articulated, my response to that question is, why do I come back? So why did I come in the first place? I think we all sort of have these happenstance maybe not, but I certainly had a happenstance introduction to ILEAD. I didn't know what it was. I came because I was curious, and also Anne had asked me to do a keynote. But I came back because of this energy that is so hard to describe when you're not right in the middle of it. I don't know why that is, and I have been working on trying to figure out an answer for a number of years, and I don't have one. But this October session, where we get to sit and watch these groups present on what they've done over the last 9 months, is like as close to joy as I experience in all of my life. Like, I absolutely love it, to just see, to know that they've had struggles, and to watch them articulate how they got beyond those to do this thing and see the friendships that have formed. It's a lovely thing.
I'm Rachel Fuller. I'd like to speak, to kind of tag off of that a little bit and say that I think ILEAD USA provides an opportunity for people who are passionate about a very large field, librarianship, to collaborate with people from across different library types. And that's something that's not necessarily available at other workshops or conferences or professional development opportunities. And in this way you have a common thing, that passion about libraries that's uniting everybody. And then we have a variety of people and expertise in the area. And so then we find that we're really greater than the sum of our parts, which is beautiful.
Anybody else? Andrew, did you want to add?
My name's Andrew Pullen, and I just briefly want to say it's a celebration. It's a celebration of what we do well. It's a celebration of what we know. It's a celebration of what people can become. So.
Alice?
Okay, I'll answer the question.
Okay.
I'm Alice Scott, and I used to work at the Illinois State Library. And when ILEAD U started, I'm going to answer the question the way that Gwen didn't want me to answer it. But I'm going to say that I came to ILEAD U because Ann Craig told me that I needed to do this. I was part of the staff and I needed to do this. And I was the biggest person to say, I don't think it's going to work. I drank the Kool-Aid the first session. I'm telling you, this was a phenomenal experience.
Yep.
It's exhausting, it's exhilarating, it's amazing. And I want to say, agree with everything that has been said so far about the groups. Watching these people grow over the course of the 9 months, it's like they're our baby. You know, suddenly they're ready to go. We're giving birth at this section now to these groups. And it's been really great for me to see, being involved since day one, to see all of the groups that are out there that are still working together and doing things.
Right.
You know, it's not just something they come and they do and they yeah, okay, well, we learned that, we're on to something. No, they continue to do and grow. And so it's been a really great experience.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is, what personal and or professional skill sets have been strengthened for you as a result of this program?
I will personally say speaking, teaching, setting up a class, I know a lot of esoteric junkola in my head, how to convey that to an audience and why that's important.
He's finally found a place for all that junk.
Yeah. Because when I say the term XML record, who cares? But explaining why OAI, PMH is important.
Yes.
These things become important, not just to your audience, but to yourself, because you clarify what you're doing and you celebrate what you're doing.
And jumping off of what Andrew just said, that the whole issue of clarifying things, in ILEAD U, the class sessions are, an hour, 75 minutes long, and we have the task of teaching about sometimes some fairly complex technologies in that short time span, and so it's a challenge and is a really great experience to take certain things and technologies that I've been working with for years, and in order to teach in that short time span, you have to kind of like, okay, sit down and boil down what is the most important thing that we need to bring across, and the most important part of this that we can teach. What's the best way to present those most important things, especially when it comes to hands-on. And how can we do it, creatively, and not make it dry, and make it something that try to pass along some of the excitement that we have onto the participants.
And I'll tell you, it also gives me an opportunity to share visions that I have, which sounds rather hokey, but like Alice and I have for years been working on the concept of making images more, making the story of images, bringing images to make stories and making them available. Context. And why do you have this image with this description? Who cares? But bringing that into a bigger story. And it gives us a chance to talk about the importance of philosophical concepts like that.
And I've learned all about the importance of the Stillwell oyster card to America. So, and how that can be related to Kevin Bacon.
When you talk about personal development, we showed up for the first session, first day, first everything. And being the academic that I was, that I taught at the university level, and I knew how it was going to go, and we all figured it out. We all did exactly what we always do, which is, all right, we've got 75 minutes, they're going to sit in their seats in nice rows looking at us as we lecture at them for 75 minutes. And it bombed. And so in terms of personal development, what was amazing at that moment is, and maybe I shouldn't say this on tape, but at many universities we would have just kept going. Because there's always next year. And what was amazing about this group, many who were there or at since then, and that attitudes kept going, is, okay, no, let's fix it. All right, let's try this. And by the second session, you don't get to talk more than 20 minutes in that 75 minutes. And we were starting to lay down rules and looking. We had a simple task, which was to make a video the very first time. And, for us, that was, all right, they're going to make a video. And it turned, for that first group, into this major stress, but it was also drama, but it also, they worked on it all night, and then Andy turned it into an Oscar event the next day, which turned into a positive way, and it's kind of, I keep coming back to improv, not that I've ever done improv comedy, but it's that a group of people come together, let's try this, let's try this, and I'm telling you what, the next year when I had to teach a class, that class looked radically different because what I learned here. All right, we're not going to speak at them for more than 20 minutes. All right, they're going to make a video. And just the techniques that we were trying and having a group that you knew, if you bombed, there was a group that was going to stand up behind you and say, you know what, let's learn about, we all bomb sometimes, and we're going to make this right, but we're turning into a learning experience. Yeah. As a professional development, it has been very freeing for me as an instructor, where I understand that there is much more fun, and people learn more when I have more fun in doing that work.
Did anybody else want to share?
Yeah, so my instruction here is more on the softer end than the harder end of technical skills. And so when I think about what I've learned, it's more of a softer lesson, I think. But one of the things that I love about ILEAD is that people, we all get here and everybody seems to just be celebrated for who they are. And so you have this little, this boundary around us. It's like a bubble where you can just be yourself. And I think that everybody buys into that, and it is not any one cohort. It's always that way. And so for me, it's just this practice time of being myself around others and understanding what that feels like and how to keep doing it when I'm not here. But it's a lovely thing.
Yeah, ILEAD is very organic. Things just seem to grow out there. I had no idea before the second session what the heck I was going to do the third session. Just because I don't know. And then something that happened at one of the keynotes, there was something about change for change's sake, or how do we change as a profession. I just went through 6 months of continuous process improvement training. I can do that. So I am. But just out of the blue, I approached Gwenna right after that keynote and said, hey, you need to get this guy. And I said, no, I can do that.
And I introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm Tony Lucarelli. I am soon-to-be systems librarian at the Fountaindale Public Library.
Thank you. Did anybody else want to add to that question?
I'm Rachel Fuller. I think for me as a school librarian and someone who spent time in the classroom, one of my strengths is knowing exactly, like I have 45 minutes and I need to teach this. And ILEAD has really expanded my professional skill set in that I have to be more flexible. So instead of 45 minutes, I maybe have an hour and a half, and how to take that time and use it so that it is still it's still useful for me and it's still useful for the class as well. And there's some discomfort in that, some uncomfortable feelings, and becoming more okay with that. And saying like, okay, well this might be a little bit uncomfortable, but that's where growth happens, is where things are a little bit uncomfortable, and saying, okay, well then let's see what happens here, and watching that happen. And that's something that isn't necessarily practiced in other places, that is practiced here at ILEAD.
And then finally, what is the one takeaway that you would like to express concerning the overall experience?
Well, I'll say something.
Okay.
Never stop learning. If you stop learning, you stop growing.
There you go.
It's really important to stretch yourself, reach out beyond your box, start, this has really helped me to kind of think outside the box, And I think that that's really important, that people need to, when I never tell people that I have a master's in library science, because they think I can go to the library and find things for them, and I don't do that. That's not, I'm not a reference librarian. I have to go to see somebody like Tony, or somebody, who's a reference librarian, But I think that it's really important to stretch, to continue to stretch and grow, because libraries are growing, changing at an amazing rate, and we have to keep up with that. We have to know, we have to kind of think about where we're going, and it's not all about just checking out books at the reference, or checking out books at the circulation desk anymore. It's so much more than that. It's maker spaces. It's all these great technology things, and I think that that's what I've taken away from this, is that just you've got to keep growing, keep learning about new stuff.
Anybody else have something to add?
I think for me, I take away the awareness that there is a reality that's possible where you can have overlap between what you want to do and what needs doing. And this has been a great space for me in that way. And it's changed what I want to do in my career even.
A lot of my work, I talk about librarians as facilitators. That what they do is they help their communities learn and get better in their aspirations. And what I take away from this is that every time I come to ILEAD, and even in between, this is the model. These folks sitting here, where it's helping others learn while you're learning, and not by dictating what they learn, but by discovering what they want to do and helping them accomplish it. I mean, this is really, epitomizing this wonderful, delightful, abstract concept of librarians are moving from keepers of collections to facilitators of communities, which is a lovely line in a book. But what it means is that Andy is terribly worried that these teams are going to understand this narrative concept. And as he's talking about the importance of it, he's getting feedback. He goes, oh, I never thought about that, and I begin to integrate it. And when we begin to say, oh, the importance of school libraries and academic libraries, and it turns out it's just librarianship. And this is the premier place to point to and say, this is what the profession's becoming. And we're constantly learning, and we're constantly learning together, and we're sharing what we know, but modifying what we know. That rich interaction turns into this amazing soup of a positive, optimistic look at the field. I'm so tired of hearing about negativity and snarky and whatever. And when I come here, it's just like, yeah, we're going to take over the world. Let's go.
Well, something I found really enjoyable about the experience is, sort of like the A-team. I love it when a plan comes together, and we as the instructor corps, when we started out the year planning the curriculum, we kind of had the themes for the March and the June and the October sessions, so that they would be suitable for where the teams are in their project at that time, and then through the discussions with our calls and that we have here, how we kind of look, it's like, hey, so this was going on here. I think this would be really great to have in June. It would be fantastic part of that. And just sort of the iterative process of the conversations, just forming something great out of just more or less a more abstract idea at the start is just really exciting.
This has been wonderful for me on a very personal note, because my job can be very limiting is wrong, but I deal with such esoteric pieces fitting together that frequently I only speak to one or two people a day. Most of the time I'm programming or working on, this thing. And to see the bigger picture, to talk to people and see what it's all about. As silly as that sounds, it's really nice to be reminded. It's really nice to see joy in other people. And it's really nice to see that what you do actually might have an impact on a human being somewhere.
That's awesome. Anybody else?
I think the biggest takeaway that I would encourage someone from ILEAD is to consider the power of the other people who are around you, because we all have our own expertise. And again, just reaching out, making that phone call or sending that email and saying, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, or I want to do this pilot project. Would you be willing to help? And I think it's sometimes so easy for us to be focused on our issues and what we're working on, the projects we need to do, and the restrictions that we face, that sometimes you forget that you have all of these wonderful people in this great profession here at your disposal. And ILEAD kind of helps you take those blinders off and helps you look around and say, well, oh my gosh, well, why don't we do it this way? Or you might be having a casual conversation with someone and they say, have you ever thought about this? Or have you ever tried this? And ILEAD makes that possible. It provides that environment and it fosters those kinds of discussions.
Nice. Ann, did you want to add anything?
Well, we asked the mentors if there's one thing you could tell the state library that would improve your experience as an instructor, what would that be? So something that we could do to help you or to help the program improve.
If I was going to start this if we had never done this before, if I was going to start this from scratch, I would aim to find instructors who are, of course, competent, but who experience joy and enthusiasm about what they do. And that would be the main criterion of the people that I would bring into an instructor for. Good communicators who experience joy and love what they do. Which doesn't answer your question, Annie, but that's...
Present company excluded.
Right. Yeah, who are you talking about?
So.
No. Yeah.
I think, so one of the things that I've realized, because I've friended lots of ILEADers on Facebook, is that there are hundreds of people that are in my network now that I've gotten to befriend and care about. And I think that it would be really cool, and that's a unique role to an instructor, especially one that comes year after year, is that connection. And it would just be really cool to have some sort of investment in either a reunion or an online
We've talked about this.
an online space that we could have that connection, because it's a very powerful thing. And even from an advocacy standpoint, it could be very powerful thing.
I think I don't think this really applied to me because I was part of the program as a mentor last year, but for a new instructor coming in who may not be that familiar with what goes on at ILEAD USA, doing some sort of, I don't know if boot camp would be the right word, but some sort of an orientation for the instructors. It's like, we really love the kind of things that you do, and it's great that you're coming into ILEAD, and just so you don't get shocked by anything, here's what happens.
Yeah,
Here's
right.
what happens here. And because again, the whole structure of the curriculum and the intensity of the sessions, it calls for somewhat, it may call for a somewhat different technique than people who are trainers and our speakers and presenters may call for a different technique that they're used to.
Sort of a, here's your Kool-Aid, now drink it up.
Yeah, along those lines.
Actually, if I could kind of add to that, as a person who served as an instructor and then took a year off and then returned to the instructor corps, I have to say I was floored with how much had changed, and in a good way. But I think it would be helpful for people who maybe aren't with every year to maybe just see the courses that were offered the previous year, because I think
That's
that
a
might have
pass.
helped me get a handle on how much wonderful growth had happened, because I thought, well, I have some sessions that I did before, they might apply, they don't apply at all anymore, which is great. But I was a little surprised when we were doing our first round of planning, and so it's like, okay, well then, I need to set my game up. And so just having kind of a frame of reference and saying like, okay, well last year here were the topics that were covered, might have helped me
Sure.
catch my footing a little bit sooner. Yeah.
All right.
That's a good idea. I like that orientation idea.
Well, we did one for the mentors, and as you guys were talking, I thought, we've got to do an instructor orientation, so it's all good. So Joe, I think this will, are there any closing remarks? Because I could talk, but I'm not.
Well, what's your impression, dear? You've been part of this.
This is not about me.
It's all about
Because I could talk, but I don't want to, so. But I appreciate you guys for working so hard and so diligently, because this is not easy. And I'm always so happy, because we start with a blank
Yeah, we do.
paper. And I'm like, okay, what's it gonna look like in 2-3 weeks? And it begins to fill up. It is exciting to watch. It's exciting to watch you guys build ILEAD USA, because you guys build it. You build it.
I'm bitter there's not more about OAI.
Yeah, and then once again, that closes the conversation.
Thank you, Joe.